At our discussion at the Finance and Facilities meeting last week, we talked about the cliff, the financial cliff facing the school district, outlined in that chart about the use of one-time funds, rainy day funds. And I talked about our need to start addressing that immediately. I know the Vice Chairman mentioned he wants a discussion on the agenda at each Finance Committee meeting, and we're going to do that. But what I brought up is that we have some major decisions to make, and I'm not even talking about state funding issues that may be looming. I'm just talking about the cliff. And I had a conversation with an alderman, extensive conversation with an alderman recently. I don't think there's a real understanding about the cliff that we're facing because of the use of one-time revenues. For the public, I want to reiterate that we are using this year, Karen, how many millions of dollars in one-time rainy day revenues?
We're looking at about 9.3 million for fiscal year 26.
What's the total number?
9.3 million for fiscal year 26.
So we're using one-time revenues just to keep the school districts somewhat afloat, despite some of the cuts that are being made. So when we go into next year's budget, we go in with, I would consider, a $9 million hole, and also a number, I believe after this year, we will have only left in our rainy day fund, what, Karen?
15.5 million.
15.5 million. The city has $13 million in their rainy day fund. I don't think they've ever used it to balance a budget. I think they have over $30 million in reserves. Just laying out the facts here. I'm not being judgmental, but in the real world that we're in, we should not be spending rainy day funds. So I'm going to propose that the mayor and I and the vice chair and the superintendent and Karen have a meeting very quickly to start thinking about next year. We need to wrap our hands around the cost savings, and I'm not advocating this, by the way, I'll make it clear again, what it would cost to close West High School, or what we would save, close West High School, or Central High School, or MST, and what would be the ramifications of doing that. Again, I'm not proposing doing that. A few years ago, there was conversation about closing the classical building at Central High School. Central High School has how many students now, Madam Superintendent?
They're just right around 1150-ish.
Okay, that complex used to house over 2,000 students. There's 1,100 students at Central High School right now. Again, we need to start getting costs associated with that. I don't think the numbers are going to be as big as we think they might be. Also, in our consultants' report, they recommended closing MST. Am I correct? So, and moving the programs in MST to the high schools. One of the questions that we need answers on, that was almost all paid for by state dollars, correct? Yep. Construction, renovations.
Correct.
Comes from grants from the state, not from the city coffers. So I'm wondering what happens to that, because the state paid for it. Again, we own it, but if the state gave the money for the original construction, I was actually on the school board when we built it, my first time in the school board, and that was a real milestone for the city when that building opened. And then it can be, they added the high school component to it a number of years ago, whether that was a good decision, bad decision, but we opened a fourth high school where we have underutilized buildings right now. Having said that, my grandson, who was here tonight, is graduating at 8 o'clock in the morning from MST. He has had a magnificent high school experience in a small school environment where individualized attention is given to students. And he took the full academic, I mean, he took 4 years of Latin. He took a full, rigorous academic program, but he thrived in that small environment. And I've said before, and this comes the educator in me, there's nothing wrong with small schools, but you have to pay for them. Nothing wrong with West High School being around 800 students. That benefits so many students. I've seen them. I'm sure you've seen them. Anybody that's in education sees them. There are students that get lost in the real big schools. They get lost because of lots of issues. And usually the person that helps that kid out is a caring, loving, and supporting teacher that gets them away from that. I'm sure, Karen, you've experienced that. I know I have. I'm sure you have as well. Anybody that's been involved in education. So my point tonight is we have some major discussions to make. What if we lose federal funding? With what's going on right now in D.C., on the whim of an executive order, funding for cuts in Title I, Title II, any other federal funds that are out there, we could be in jeopardy with the signature of one person. Whether that's right or wrong, that could happen. Things in Concord, I think we're going to hear more about that at another time. There's so much uncertainty going on in Concord around funding right now, ripping money away from the university system. I did a forum with the Speaker of the House last week and one of the state senators up in Concord, and I talked about what happened. I was on the board of the university system when they took $50 million out of our budget, and that was when Bill O'Brien was Speaker of the House, and our applications and enrollment started to decline. Sharp decline that they've never recovered from, by the way, because people started to say the state does not value higher education. I'm off track, but I'll get back to where I need to be. We fund higher education in New Hampshire at the lowest level of any state in the entire nation. The Manchester School District, even though there are people out there, we're spending too much. People have said that, I think, forever. But we're educating children. They show up, we have to educate them in whatever form they come. Whatever form they come. They enter our schools, and we accept them. And this school district is moving in the right direction, but I think this is going to be a moment in time. Unless we get prepared, this will be the beginning of some not very good things happening to our public schools. To me, it's a clarion call. It's a clarion call. And my conversation last week, it was a positive conversation, but I don't think there's a great awareness on the other side, maybe there is, that we are spending rainy day funds. And the public needs to know we're doing it, and it has to stop. And it has to stop next year. Or if we tap it next year, let's say we take another $9 million out of it next year, what do we have left? What do we have left, Karen?
Well, we have 15.5 going into next year, so if we take 9 or 10 million, we're down to a level that is not healthy for the school district. It's not sustainable.
You cannot, the school, who's ever here, who's ever mayor, who's ever sitting on the school board, who's ever an alderman, that's a danger zone. We're in a danger zone. Everybody, we passed the budget, we're moving on, we're trying to minimize and cut, but there's a day of reckoning, and if there's anything that I could do based upon my experience in this school district that spans a long time, I've seen this before, but I think this is going to be, unless we grab our hands around it, the worst thing that we have ever seen happen to this school district. Thank you, Your Honor.